Well, today you're joining me on an extremely cold and icy, frosty morning at Shearwater. The van is reading -4. It's just gone 7:30 in the morning. Looking behind me, doesn't look like there's many people on. You can probably just about see pretty much a full moon still in the sky, so it's very, very cold this morning. So I'm going to shoot round and do a day session on one of the fire banks at Shearwater. Now, this is a new venue to the GoCatch app. It's a very old lake that's been open for many years, but it's been shut for a few years for one reason or another since COVID times started to kick in. But it's now back open on the GoCatch app. So I'm really looking forward to getting down there, doing a proper long session today, and hopefully we can get some carp on these icy conditions. Oh, let's get round there. So I've got my kit round into the swim that I'm going to fish for the day, and this is a swim I've actually fished a fair few times in the past on my own channel. So I actually think some of my first ever night sessions I ever did were here by myself, and I caught a few fish even in the depths of winter as well. So I know it's good for a bite. A few of those bites did come at night.
I think I've got a fish on.
Like I said, it's about 1:20 in the morning. But I have heard that fish have been coming out throughout the day, so fingers crossed we'll get something. As you can see, it's quite a big open bank here, so it's not really designated swims as such on this side of the lake. It's kind of rock up where you want, but there's slight cutouts in the bank where you can see rods go. A couple of lads to my left, which if I struggle today, I'm sure I'll be using some of their fish for the cameras, but hopefully we'll all get a few bites on the camera. There's some on the other side of the bushes as well, and there's a few dotted up down the other bank as well. So even though it's the depths of winter, it still can get fairly busy, which is good. It pushes the fish around and hopefully gets them moving. As I said, a few fish have been coming out on either zigs, bottom baits, PB bags, spreader boilies, so all different matters of methods are working. Today I'm going to be going down a spotting approach, not too much bait, and then just putting single little rigs out with little stick mixes on, and hopefully that does the business. So fingers crossed we'll get something today, and hopefully that sun manages to peer up over the trees on the far bank, because it is very, very cold, but I don't think it's going to. But without further ado, let's get all the rods out and get fishing. As is always the case when you're filming yourself fishing, it's actually probably a couple of hours since I got here and I still haven't got the rods out, but I am now ready to go out, and I'm going to be fishing pretty much the same tactic on all three, albeit slight variations in the actual hook bait. So the first one is just a citrus cultured hook bait, so one of those ones with a coating around it and 50mm boilie underneath that, and that's a bottom bait, but that coating will break down extra traction, and a little stick mix which I made up yesterday actually, or the other day when I was fishing. And it's just some sort of ground bait, really small micro pellets, and a bit of the worm cell from Nash. I'm giving that a bit of a try today as well. The other hook bait, exactly the same setup, other than I've got a standard 15mm bottom bait of a 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲 squid, and then topped with a 12mm wafter, citrus wafter. And same again on the last rod, only that's topped with a white citrus wafter. The only other difference with these rods is that these two are on a helicopter setup. That one is on a lead clip, but I've got the bung taken out, so it's kind of a running lead clip setup. And I've also clipped them up ever so slightly differently. I found a spot, cast around with the lead, it's fairly regimented out there. So I found a distance at 19 wraps with the spod rod, and I'm going to put some bait out at 19. So I've then clipped the rods up slightly differently. So the first rod is going to go out at 18.5, so it's just short, but with the swing back with the bait drop in, it should be about right, because it feels like I'm probably in about 12 foot of water or more, or something like that. The next one is clipped up exactly the same as the spot at 19 wraps, and then the last one is 19.5. So rather than putting all three on one spot at the same distance, I'm staggering them ever so slightly, so whether they're at the back of the spot, on the spot, or near side of the spot, I should find out fairly quickly. Other than that, everything's going to be the same. I'm going to get the rods out first, maybe sit on my hands for about half an hour, and then start introducing some bait and see how it goes. If they start reacting to the bait, great. If not, then I'll just sit and wait and hope that something comes along. But as I said, it's been a couple of hours now since I got here. I'm going to get these out and get the kettle on, because I need to warm up my hands. Left it longer than I planned. The rods have been out about an hour, and all I've had was a few beeps on the drop back on the middle rod. So it could have been that I got done on that one, so I'll probably redo it fairly soon. I'm gonna get some bait out there now. They haven't reacted to just the singles, so I'm gonna try and get some attraction out there. Starting off with some hemp, so some small bits. I don't want to really feed them up too much, but just get them grazing around. And this is some of the oily hemp from Nash. I can't really see because I've got the sun in my eyes now. And I'm just going to put that jar out, probably 5 spods of boilie, and then leave it and see what happens. And I may have to redo them fairly soon, just to get some fresh bait out there. But I think just introducing something is hopefully going to drag some attention and attraction to the swim. Well, I think I only managed to get the bite on camera for that one because the other camera was still on slow-mo, the mic wasn't set up, it was all out of whack. So apologies you missed the whole fight and everything, but it shows that spodding out has clearly paid off, because within 10 minutes of stopping spodding, this one went off. I did actually have a bream whilst spodding, unfortunately, but the rod went back out, and before I'd even put the middle rod back on the rest after recasting it, the right-hand rod peeled away. And this is the one on the ledger setup with a running rig. And there we go. That's with a 50mm bottom bait and a little white topper. So that's gone straight back out. It's going to flip. And this is the one that's slightly longer, so 19.5 wraps, which is just beyond where I've been spodding. And a lovely sort of scraper double, maybe about 11 pound common, who doesn't really want to be shown on the camera. I'll try one more time. It's a very nice, he's like a block of ice. I know it's a very cliche thing to say fishing in the winter, but he really is freezing cold. I don't think he's really liking my slightly warmer hands. So we're sticking back, and hopefully it's a sign of more to come, because that was very, very quick action after putting some spod mix out. Happy days. Thank you, buddy. Well, I have a rather strong suspicion that this is going to be another bream. Very, very classic bream take. If it is a bream, I think it's an all right size one, but it's just not really doing anything. It's just wallowing. The odd little head shake, which makes me know that it is a fish and not just the bottom. But that's part of the risk with putting out some particle, because there is quite a lot of bream in here. It's a good venue for match anglers as well. So if you want to fish for the bream, and there's pike as well, although it's just kiting right, it could be a carp. In fact, the more I'm fighting it, the more I'm thinking it is a carp. He just started very much like a bream, but it's now kited really far right, so yeah, this is a carp. Or is it? I'm so confused. It is a bream. No, it's a carp. It's a very small one. That was so confusing. Well, rather embarrassing commentary. It is another carp, but it's about £4. So I'm going to unhook it and slip it back and hope for something a little bit bigger. And interestingly, both carp have come on this rod, which is the slightly furthest one. Donk. You can see how deep it is out there. It's probably about 15 foot, I would say. So I'm definitely in the deeper part of the lake. Now that's out, I think I'll put the kettle on once more and talk to you a bit more about the lake itself. I will hold off a bit because Rob Hughes is actually heavily involved with this lake now, more so than I actually realised until this morning when he walked around doing the morning rounds. So he's coming back up later on this afternoon, completely unplanned, but I'm going to get him to talk to you a bit more about the venue, what exactly has been going on, and yeah, he just knows a lot more about the place than me, other than my own personal knowledge of this place and fishing it over the years. I think it's best to talk to him as he's so heavily involved with it. And of course, he's an ambassador for Catch as well, so just makes sense. That's now back out fishing, all 3 rods. Put it down the rest, and hopefully something a bit bigger will come along next. So that's the rod back out, and it's the one that keeps on doing the bites actually. So although all the rigs are pretty close to each other, the bait and approach are the same, the rigs are the same, the right-hander has been the one that's done the bites. That's the one that's ever so slightly further. And talking of which, I think that might be a bream. This is how the bites have been, very finicky. And that, to me, feels like it's going to be another bream. But that's only been out, oh, maybe not, let's pull him back a bit. That's only been out about 10 minutes while I got the kettle on and the camera sorted. I think this is a bream. It's coming in like the first one did, although that last one came in like this and it turned out to be about a £4 common, but it's not really doing anything, not even any head knocks. So this is the one that's been doing the bites, and it's really bizarre. It's only about, well, it's a rod length between all 3 rods from left to right, but they're a bit further. They're not really all on one spot. So I don't think the distance is the contributing factor to me getting these bites, but it's how it's been going. Where's it to now? Just there, yeah. Pretty sure this one is a bream. It's coming in like a wet sock at the moment. So I'm just going to put this back out, keep going for it. I might move the other ones, they just come off, which is a good thing because I'm 100% sure that was a bream. So let's bring it in. I can probably tell if it stinks. Yep, that was a bream. There's slime on the rig as well. So I'm not going to lose any sleep about losing that fish. Let's pop it down here for now. And we'll run through exactly how to book onto this place through the Catch app. Because as you know, this series is brought to us by Catch. So a very big thank you to them for doing this series. It means I get to go fishing, even if it was -4 on the van this morning. It's still been nice to get a few bites. So going on to the Catch app, where would you like to fish? I'm just going to type in Shearwater because that's where this is. And there we are, Shearwater, Warminster, UK. You can choose dates you want to fish. I'm going to skip it for now. How many tickets? Again, skip for now. And it will come up with venues that are in the area. Obviously, Shearwater is the closest. Then you've got Island Carp Fishery, which is fairly nearby. 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲 or Bugly. I've got it wrong again. I've done a video on there already before, so the link for that will be in the description below. Woodside Lakes, I've done a video on that as well. So do have a look at those from the other videos in the series. But I'll click on Shearwater for now, and it is the one lake here. There used to be, well, there are a couple of smaller ponds down the bottom, but that's not included anymore. I used to have some lovely fish in there, actually. I had a few myself. Anyway, it gives you the directions where it is. The overview is a very historic lake, and it's part of the Longleat Estate. So if you don't know anything about Longleat, I don't know where you've been, because it's quite a well-known name. It's got the safari park not too far by, and every now and then you can hear some of the animals from there, especially when the Longleat Lakes used to be open. You could hear the lions and stuff. It was a bizarre audio track to a fishing session. Anyway, that's where it's quite an old lake in Wiltshire. And if I open up, read more, it gives you loads more information. There's a big head of carp, roach, bream, pike, perch, and more than 36 acres. Lakes offer both the specimen carp, match and pleasure angler alike the ultimate day ticket venue for an action-packed session in glorious surroundings. And I really have to vouch for that glorious surroundings. As you can see, I think actually the far bank looks almost like Canadian. It's got all those, the sort of trees that you'd find in Canada. I think they're pine trees. I'm rubbish with names of trees, but that's what I think this place looks like. It's very Canadian looking, and because it's a big old water as well, it's a beautiful environment to be fishing in. There's no showers here. It's pretty natural. There are some toilets for anglers. It says on here no toilets, but there's some portaloos that have been dotted up, and that's on the key code for the gate is the same as that for the portaloos. So when you come in, that's another thing to mention, is you can get in through the gate. You get the code through your email once you've booked your session, and then you unlock the gate. You can bring your van around, lock it up behind you, of course, drop your stuff off, and then take your van or vehicle back to the designated car parks. So you can't park behind the swims, but you can for unloading. So I'm probably in the furthest walk from a vehicle to your swim in this place, and it's probably about 20 yards from the track up behind. So most swims, you can get your van right behind, dump your gear off, and get back to a car park. It's pet friendly. It's very open to the public, so it's a public lake. Dog walkers go around all the time as well. So it's not just anglers. Everyone can enjoy this environment. So it's a really nice, friendly feel, quite a social place. So if you like a quiet venue, it can be quiet. There's only, I think, the app says there's about 12 of us on today, but we're fairly spaced out being such a big lake, but also all the dog walkers and things. It's a very open and friendly environment. There's a cafe just in the corner as well, which is really nice, and that's marked on here, the parking, 3G and 4G connectivity. My phone is working on 4G right now, so that's all true. And then the stock, you've got high stock of common, mirror, bream, pike moderate stock, tench very low stock, roach high stock, perch high stock. So perch fishing is also quite a good thing for in here. I've tried it once before, didn't have much luck on my first trip, but I have seen some clonking great perch caught from here, from all ages as well. I think there's a video on YouTube of a little lad doing some drop shotting on the dam wall, and he had a really good session. Prices are also all listed here. You've got the day tickets, which is £15, concession day, pay on the day is 20, and then you've got evening tickets, which is quite good, especially coming into the summer. You finish work and you've got several hours of daylight left. You can come up and just pay for that half day ticket, basically evening ticket. That's really, really nice. And then it's got all your 24-hour tickets on there as well. So you can see all the pricings on there. Opening hours, 7 till 9. That's just for the gates, but obviously you can night fish, so it's open 24 hours. And you've got directions, all your general fishery rules, restrictions, bait rules. It's fairly open actually. So number of rods you can see, you can go up to a maximum of 3 when you're carp fishing. Bait rules, I think pretty much everything goes. Restrictions, very little, I think, if I open that. No bait boats, no drones. I did get permission to fly my drones before you give me any crap about that. No radios or music. Braided main lines only for spotting or predator angling. And that's it for restrictions. So it's nice to see a fishery that's not really full of rules. It's obviously you've got the carp care rules for your standard nets, your minimum lines and stuff like that, and your general fishing rules, but there's nothing on here which is making you think, oh, I've got to change that for this session. It's very all-inclusive for all different manners of angling, styles, abilities. There's a really nice venue, swim rules, so as you see, keep swim tidy, and like I said, some of them are quite obviously designated swims, but this bit, it's just an open bank, so you can sort of fish where you like really, but there's points like this where it's quite clear you stick your rods. So that is everything on the app itself, and as you can see, you meet the team. Head of marketing is Rob Hughes. You've also got Tony Campbell, fishery manager, Chris Rideout, bailiff, Ian Smith, bailiff, Josh Edwards, bailiff, Matt Whiteside, bailiff, Paul Leaney, bailiff, Mike Rideout, bailiff. So there's a lot more people, Rob Morris, Frank Hall, God, there's a lot, Alan Collins. I'm going to keep going. There we are, all the way up to Ben Short. There's quite a lot of bailiffs on here now, so there's always going to be someone around to give you a hand if you need something at any point. But as you can see, just from today's session, I unfortunately haven't really shown you any of some of the really nice fish in here. They do go up to a good size. There's a big head of them in here, but fishing this time of year is always going to be a bit more tricky. I need to re-rig that one back up, ping it back out on the spot, and hope that I'm done with the bream for the day. Because that's 2 bream, although I lost that one, and 2 carp. I'd like to go home with something, I'd say mid-double is my challenge for today. Something just a little bit more weighty.
You've put me at the tall end as well.
Well, both our feet are straight. I feel like a kid in a high chair.
It's nice.
Oh, it's nice to get my feet off the cold ground, actually.
I feel like 12 years old again. Anyway.
Yes, well, as I said earlier when I was doing a little piece to camera about the fishery, Rob did the rounds this morning, and I didn't actually know how involved you were until you talked to me this morning. So
yes.
I roped you in to come back up and tell us a bit more about Shearwater, what's gone on the last few years, stock, well, just a bit more information than what I know, really.
Yeah. Well, fairly involved, I think, is the answer to that. Fairly involved. I fished down here. We moved down about 12 years ago, and I fished down here. Ever since then, I love the place. It's beautiful. I taught my kids to fish here, and I've got a real affinity with the place.
So, are you seeing some fish?
3 fish at the same time. Something's just spooked them. 3 fish crashed over there at the same time.
Oh, I see. I think he's fishing not too far off them now.
Right, interesting. Anyway, sorry, back to business. Yeah, I moved down about 12 years ago, immediately fell in love with the place. It just looks absolutely beautiful. Taught my kids to fish here, had some wonderful times down with family and friends. And then obviously when COVID struck, it all closed down, as did everywhere. But the difference with this place is it didn't open again.
Yes.
And it was such a shame because it is such an important facility, you know, for people in the area. For a start, it's great fishing. But secondly, so many people in this local area have learned to fish here, have either learned to fish or learned to carp fish. And it's such a shame that it isn't open. Anyway, like everybody in the area, we were expecting it to open again, and it just didn't. And then the rumours started coming out that
I think that's frustration from the anglers more than anything.
Well, there was a lot of rubbish talked by a lot of people who were seemingly absolutely in the know. I 100% know that it's been filled in and turning into a skate park. You know, and all of this rubbish. And I thought, you know what, I've heard all of this. Centre parks, water park, sold off completely, nature reserve, all of this stuff. And I thought, best thing to do is go and ask. So got in touch with the estate. And rather than complaining, which was what a lot of people were doing, saying that it's disgusting, it's not open, I went there and said, look, is it likely to open again? And if so, is there anything we can do to help? And they went, yeah, great, that would be lovely. And there were one or two reasons why it couldn't open. One of the primary ones is literally as simple as that it used to be a cash-only venue, and the whole of the Longleat Estate, whether that's the house, the safari park, Wookey Hole, Cheddar Gorge, all of those local attractions, they all went cashless. And the guys here weren't really sure how to operate a cashless fishing system, which is where obviously catch comes in.
Yeah, very well.
Yeah, so, you know, there were other challenges as well. Parking is an issue because loads of people were using this place as their exercise area, as it were. So it got really popular. There were problems with parking, there were problems with vehicular access, there was a problem with people. Just, there were all sorts of problems. And the fishery team at Longleat, across the whole of the whole estate, was one man. And that man's, you know, Nico, he's brilliant. He's been here a long time, but he got battered a little bit through COVID. You know, loads of people just giving him grief as well, and it was just really difficult. So we reached out and said, look, can we help? I say we. That's what I said at the beginning, and they said, yeah, brilliant. What can we do? So I got my good friend and local fishery manager and fish farmer 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗀 involved as well, and said, look, would you like to come on board? And yeah, we basically, Tony and I run the fishing on it now. That's it. The idea is just to get it back, not just to what it was before, but, you know, to get it to its real form of glory. There's a number of challenges with the place. Water quality is one of them, so we're looking at that. Yeah, it's just so nice to firstly be able to come back, and secondly to see people coming back.
It is beautiful, and I've said it already to the cameras that one of the rules now that's been put in place that you can drop your kit off, then move the vans. And when you've got such a beautiful environment like this, that is one thing that previously was a bit of an eyesore. You had a T4, a Transit, a Caddy just on the horizon of this beautiful lake, and then you've just got fisherman vans there. Oh, here comes the plane.
There's a big one coming. He's coming directly over us now as well.
Yeah,
you'll hear this one in a minute. So we're right on the edge of Warminster, and on the other side of Warminster is Salisbury Plain, and there's obviously an exercise going on at the moment.
I've been hearing the
because there's a star lifter going directly above us. This is. There it goes.
So you got this peaceful, tranquil lake like this, and then every now and then something like that flies over.
Not every day. It's only when this isn't like Horton or Raisbury, but every now and again you get some interesting things come past, whether it's like in the sky with all the military activity that goes on, or alternatively on the ground as well, because it's a park lake.
Yeah. And
you know, it again, we're talking about how important this place is. It's one of those rare places where public and anglers interface with each other, which is why we need to be on our best behaviour, which is why we don't want cars parked everywhere. You know, for a start, the lake's beautiful, so why litter it with cars? Secondly, you can drive all the way around. I mean, you're in the furthest walk peg.
Yeah, I said like it's about 20 yards from the track, and I'm there.
So, you know, people grumbling that you can't still leave your cars behind. Well, you know what? It looks so much nicer, and it's so much better for angling generally. The lake looks nicer. There's lots of members of the public walking around. Another key thing is that there's a road up the one side, so when people are driving up and they see cars on here, they think, oh yeah, we can drive around. So suddenly, rather than just anglers, you get all sorts of other people driving up and down. So it's drop your gear off, stick it in the car park. There's a locked gate. The cars are safe and secure because they're well away from, you know, the roadside behind the locked gate. So, you know, there's no problem.
Yeah, I've got to say, I've fished here for years as well, and I fished on the previous iteration of this lake. And there was a slight sense of insecurity at night sometimes because people just drive around. There's one of the first nights ever done on here, about 2 in the morning, a van drove all the way around and parked here.
Yeah.
And I was in my bivvy thinking, what's about to happen? And he was just walking his dog after a night shift or something, but that shouldn't happen anymore. And it was just things like that. I think it definitely feels more secure that we can get in and out through the gate and things like that. So
well, we've got toilets as well, which is nice. So in 3 of the car parks, we've got portaloos in, but the portaloos are locked. So when you book, you get your code. And obviously, you know, members of the public, a portaloo and a park lake means that it's going to be full and not the nicest of places, but it's just anglers that use it. So, you know, again, everything that we're doing is trying to make the angling experience a lot nicer, a lot better. I want it to be the sort of place that I want to go.
Definitely.
And it is, because it looks lovely. The fishing is brilliant, albeit that we've had -5 last night.
I know, and I think within a few days, I think this is going to have a lid on it as well. So if I can get one more before I have to shoot on, I'll be happy. But a couple of bites when I got here -4, I can't complain.
No. There's not many places you can go and do that, but you wait till spring.
Spring and summer, I know.
It is incredible. Well, it's a great winter water actually. As soon as it's levelled off, it's a good winter water.
Yeah. Was that a fish?
Yeah. It wasn't. That's what caught me out. You know, I said there were 3 together over there. There's 3 cormorants landed, and they're in front of us now.
I see. Your watercraft's a bit off then.
Yeah. Well, they were behind the tree, but yeah, there's 2 together. Look, they're hunting together. There's one on his own over there. But, yeah, there we go. So there's still time yet.
Yeah. I think half an hour left to go. Hopefully, get another bite. But above all else, thank you for getting this place and your team back open for everyone.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Cup of tea. Well, I'm not going to lie, I was just thinking about putting the cameras on and saying I'm calling it a day. It's very, very cold. Nothing's happening. And the right-hand rod is just absolutely peeled off. Hopefully I can get this in and round off the session with one more carp. He's doing his best to take out my other lines at the moment, so I'm trying to keep him to the right-hand side. But the forecast is saying that by 4 o'clock, which is only about 20 minutes away, was already -1, so the temperature's dropped like a stone. It only got up to, I don't know, 4 today. So it's not been very warm at all, but the temperature just absolutely dropped like a stone. And as soon as this fish is in, if I get it in, I'm gonna film it and shoot on home, I think. Even with all these thermals on, I don't fancy staying any longer than I need to, with the temperature dropping as much as it's going into tonight. I think the next few days I'm gonna get down to as low as -7 at night over the weekend. So it really is gonna be pretty grueling for anyone out on the bank this weekend. If the lakes aren't frozen, that is. But it's also been great fun to get the my custom rods to good use again today. All right, I think I've got him this side of the buoy. Come on. Hey. Lovely way to end the session. Warm me up a bit. Well, I said that one earlier, it felt like a block of ice, but it felt like a warm cup of tea in comparison to this one. And it almost feels like a blank saver, although it's the 3rd carp of the day. It's been so long without a fish, and I put in so much effort with the baiting up approach and making sure everything was spot on, that without this last one, it would have felt almost a bit sour going home. But I'm really glad I've had this one. Sunset now, it's going to get dark very quickly, very cold very quickly. So that is extremely welcome to round off a very enjoyable and chilly day at Shearwater. So please do check it out on the app. Get yourself down here if you're local or if you fancy a bit of a travel down. It's a beautiful venue full of fish like this and much bigger. And it is a good winter venue. I have had some good success in here in the winter previous years. So it's definitely somewhere I'll be revisiting. Now it's back open. It's great to have it back open. He's starting to curl his tail as if he's going to go, but quite a quirky little common this one. Quite a withered little tail. But yeah, feels good to get him on the bank. And he wants to go back. And I will oblige.